another edition of the morning show right here on the brand new Main Street TV. And of course, Jennifer here to start off the morning news update with our good friend Pete Wilson. And of course, the morning news update always brought to you by our good friend Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, Nia knows the business. So give her a call, 740-418-4135, and she promises she'll be out working for you. All right, our good friend Pete is here in the house. So welcome, Pete, and I know that you are full of it this morning.
Okay, thank you, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway, we will start off with an upbeat story to try to lift up your Thursday morning.
We love that.
This happened yesterday, and the site was the Jackson County Extension Office just south of town on State Route 93, and a goodwill gesture by the Ohio State University, its Department of Student Life, and the students, fraternity and sorority students at OSU who participated in this. They wanted to do a service project in conjunction with the National Day of Giving.
Okay.
And what they decided to do was a food insecurity project where they would provide meals where food insecurity is the worst. And they ended up choosing 3 counties in southeastern Ohio, and one of them was Jackson County. Jackson County, Pike County, and Scioto County. And so this picture that you see on your screen, if you're watching on TV or on a computer or on a phone, took place Wednesday morning, and that is Aaron Daly in the middle there. She of course is the 4-H agent, extension educator in Jackson County. They welcomed a big van from OSU, a big semi-tractor trailer rig, and it was really a conversation maker in and of itself because it had the Buckeye insignia on it. It is the same semi that is used to transport the Buckeye football equipment during football season.
Awesome.
Travels around all the schools and like that where they're playing on Saturday. And so a lot of picture taking. And there is the group in front of that big tractor trailer. It was extension staff, some 4-H members from Jackson County, some other community members, because there was a lot of packing to do. There was a total of 24,000 meals in those boxes that were in that trailer. And actually, there was more than that because later they were stopping in Scioto County and Pike County as well. And Aaron Daly says that these meals will be going out to organizations that, provide food to those who need it the most. Among those organizations, of course, the 3 school districts, Jackson City Schools, Wellston City Schools, the Oak Hill Union Local Schools, also the local office for the RSVP of the Ohio Valley, Buckeye Community Services, the Jackson County Senior Citizens Program, TLC Ministries, and Jaffe, to name the ones that were listed for me. So all this took place yesterday, and to those who need food the most, who are considered in the category of being food insecurity, this will certainly help. According to Aaron Daly, after they made all their commitments, there were 10 food boxes left, and that's a lot of meals in those 10 food boxes. And if any organization would like to have the food boxes, they just need to call out there at the extension office, and if they still have them, they will consider passing them on to where it can be used and be beneficial to those in need that weren't in those agencies that were already given the boxes. The number to call out there at the extension office is 740-286-5044. And of course, we will have a story and pictures on this story in our Saturday paper. Okay, we have an update from the Vinton County Board of Elections and the Vinton County Commissioners. Of course, we've been covering the story about the problems and issues with the Vinton County Elections Office. Remember, 2 board members who were recommended for reappointment to the Secretary of State were rejected. Also, 2 staff members, the only 2 full-time staff members, resigned after this happened. This left the elections office without a staff and without 2 board members. That is being rectified now, and this was discussed at the Vinton County Commissioners meeting on Tuesday. And this is a picture of some of the principals who were there to discuss the most recent update. And the good news is that the Secretary of State has approved 2 new board members for the Vinton County Elections Office. This is the start of getting everything back on track. Those 2 board members were the ones who were recommended for appointment by the respective political parties in Vinton County, the executive committees. They are Kim Wortman on the Democrat side and Carolyn Brown on the Republican side. If you're looking once again on TV, the four people there that are shown in the photo from the left. That's Lori Baldridge. She is the regional liaison for the Ohio Secretary of State's office. Then you have Nikki Harvey, who is a current Vinton County Board of Elections member, continuing. Then Benita Peters, who is also a continuing member. Those were the other two board members who were retained, basically because their terms are in the middle. They weren't up for reappointment. And then Carolyn Brown is on the far right. She is the new appointee from the Republican Party. Kim Wortman, who was appointed by the Democrat Party, was out of town and unable to attend this meeting. So the big task for the new board is to not only keep the office going and get it back reopened again into full functioning operations, but also, of course, to pick a new director and deputy director. The good news is, I guess, in Vinton County is there is no primary election in Vinton County this May, so there is time to get back on their feet and in full functioning operations well before that general election. Okay, we have big news from from a nearby county. We don't normally cover all the news in Pike County, but this pretty much made statewide as well as regional news, and so we'll pass it on. And that was the sentence handed down yesterday for former Pike County Sheriff Charlie Reeder. Of course, Charlie Reeder was not only well known in Pike County, he became a regional and statewide person of renown because of the investigation of the Roden murders, which occurred back in 2016. If you don't remember that, 8 family members were killed in a single night out there, and the legal proceedings on that investigation are continuing. But Sheriff Reeder, who is 47 years old, was later indicted on 18 counts, including a felony charge of engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity. Last September, he pled guilty to 2 counts of theft in office, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, and 1 count of conflict of interest. More recently, 15 of those 18 counts were dismissed as part of a plea bargain. In return, he pled guilty to 3 of the charges. Basically, it comes down to him admitting to stealing money that was seized from arrest and then trying to cover it up. The investigation began when authorities received an anonymous tip regarding the sheriff's alleged misdeeds. The sheriff and his attorney asked for leniency, asked that he not have prison time. He wanted to, see his daughter get married and his son graduate from high school, all that. But the judge, Patricia Cosgrove, who was sitting by assignment from Summit County, she would have none of it. And he was sentenced to what amounted to 6 years, but in reality is 3 years because of some of the sentences being concurrent. So Charlie Reeder will be on the other end of the bars for 3 years, and that was the big news out of Pike County yesterday. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost issued this following statement regarding the significance of what happened yesterday in Pike County. This is what he said: "No one is above the law, and there are rightful consequences for violating the public trust. Today's sentencing closes an ugly chapter for Pike County, whose citizens deserve government which is free of corruption." All right, on the COVID-19 front, we have one updated report. This comes from the Vinton County Health Department, and in the report issued yesterday, there was one new case over the past 2 days. And there you see the infographic up on the screen. Once again, if you're watching on TV or on Facebook. So only one new case in 2 days. That's pretty good. The number of active cases is actually up from 6 to 8. However, there were no new deaths. There's been a total of 17 over the period of the pandemic. And nobody is hospitalized right now. No new report from Jackson County. However, we do want to remind everybody in Jackson County that there will be 2 more clinics for the COVID-19 vaccinations. Today's clinic will be from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. Then there'll be another one on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Both of these clinics will be at the Jackson First Church of the Nazarene, 251 Powell Drive in Jackson. And the big news on this is, if you haven't already heard, they have expanded the eligibility for the vaccine, and now anybody in Jackson County ages 18 and older can get that vaccine, and that includes other people who were eligible earlier who, for whatever reason, did not get it. So this is your opportunity. This does not include 16 and 17-year-olds right now. They apparently must have the Heiser vaccine, and that was just not available this week for Jackson County. However, they do expect it to be available next week. We'll certainly let you know on that. Okay, as we move along, yesterday evening about 7:30 p.m., there was a accident in the corner of, or at the intersection of Broadway and Water Streets right here in Jackson. It involved a car and a motorcycle. The car, which was driven by Jacob Sims, age 24 of Chillicothe, basically ran a red light. He admitted that he did run a red light and struck a motorcyclist. The motorcycle, this was William Hedrick, age 27 of Thurman Road, Oak Hill. This could have been a lot worse. Mr. Hedrick was thrown from his motorcycle. The motorcycle skidded across the parking lot and hit a parked car. Mr. Hedrick was taken to Holzer Medical Center Jackson emergency room with minor injuries. As it turned out, Mr. Sims was charged with failure to yield for running the red light. Mr. Hedrick, although he was not at fault, was cited also because he did not have a driver's license and he had fictitious plates on his motorcycle. All right, Jen, we talked about this off camera a little bit, but the Jackson County Apple Festival Queens Contest will go on Saturday, April 3rd. We had reported that earlier. Now we can confirm what we had said earlier would probably be the case, and that is that it will be a closed event to the public. What that means is it is going to go on, but you will not, just not anybody can go because of the COVID-19. Of course, it's going to take place in the Jackson Middle School auditorium, and of course, they're worried about the exposure with the big crowd, and it always draws a big crowd. So how it's going to work, Jennifer, is that each contestant, and there are 11 of them, will be given 7 tickets, and they can give them to whoever they want. I'm sure parents and grandparents will be at the top of the list, maybe close friends. But those will be the only people who will be given these tickets. There'll be a few others that the Apple Festival Committee will give out, like to media and other people who have business for being there, but very few people will be allowed to go. Now, what they have done to make up for the fact that most people can't go, and there's a lot of interest in it, is that they have asked the Jackson High School media team, which has agreed then to do a Facebook Live video or a YouTube video. I'm not sure which it is, but it will be a live video that will be available that night, and then I presume that it will be posted as well.
It will be, yes.
Yeah, that will be an opportunity for people either live or after the fact to be able to see the Apple Festival Queens contest. So
That's right.
It's a makeshift situation, but probably the best that could be done right now. And if you're wondering about the Little Queens contest, that is going to take place later. That draws even a bigger crowd because of the number of contestants. They're going to put that off and do that sometime over the summer.
That's right. And then we'll try to work with the media team or send our own team out to get that contest as well, as I know a lot of our viewers look forward to seeing it right here on the morning show. So we'll see what we can do about that.
One way or the other, it'll make our TV, won't it?
Yes, you will be able to see it here somehow.
All right, and also we want to tip our hat to the Jackson Lions Club. Recently, Jackson Lions Club President Matt Garvey went to the new Men's Addiction Recovery Campus, which is done by Warriors for Christ. That is on Chillicothe Pike, and that is a residential center for men who are recovering from drug addiction. And that is Matt Garvey there on the right. He is handing a gift card valued at $200 to T.J. Cannon, who is the residential manager there for that facility. And Matt and the Lions Club believe in the good work that the new Men's Recovery Campus is doing. And not only did they want to publicize the fact that they're giving them $200, to buy food, as this is a residential center, but they are challenging other civic groups and businesses in town and in Jackson County to donate as well. And so the Lions Club donates a $200 food card to the Men's Addiction Recovery Campus in Jackson. Of course, that facility located just outside of Jackson on the Chillicothe Pike. and that is a ministry of the Warriors for Christ. We want to salute the Oak Hill High School National Honor Society inductees. This was done very recently. We had 3 pictures in one of our recent papers. We chose this picture to show you on television. These are the officers of the National Honor Society in Oak Hill. And if you're looking once again on the TV, from the left, we have Hallie Kaiser, Amber Runyon, Nathan Vernon, Reed McCain, Tamron McCain, Chloe McKenzie, and Ethan Sickles. On the far right, that is the Energizer Bunny of Oak Hill High School, Bryce Werntz. He is the band director, as well as a music teacher, just does a lot of things there at Oak Hill, does in charge of the plays and everything, and he sent us those pictures, and we do thank him for that. And you can see those pictures online as well on the Telegram's website. Speaking of food, we're going to go back to food now. We want to remind you about the vegetable garden program done by Jackson Area Ministries, and this is ongoing. They do a ministry where they distribute seeds to needy families. And it's available to anybody from the public. You don't have to show any income guidelines or anything, but the idea, once again, is to fight food insecurity by giving people the seeds so they can plant, their own vegetable gardens. A lot of people enjoy doing this. And so this program going on now, and they're asking the public to make a donation by dropping off seed packets, vegetable seed packets, to the JAM, that's Jackson Area Ministries office on McKittrick Avenue. They've got a big yellow drop box in front of the office. You can't miss it. 24/7, you can drop off your vegetable seed packets there, or if people are in the office, you can give the seeds to them personally. In Vinton County, the Southeast Ohio Food Bank will be hosting an on-site food distribution. Their income-eligible people, the Martin County service area. Now, this is in Logan. However, the 10 counties do include both Jackson County and Vinton County. So you do have to drive to Logan, but this food distribution has been going on all month, but it's going to end this week. In fact, is today. It's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and this is a program of the Southeast Ohio Food Bank, but any community member who meets the income guidelines is eligible for this. That food bank is located at 1005 CIC Drive in Logan, Ohio. If you want to know more about it before you make the trip, call 740-385-6813. Once again, 740-385-6813. We want to remind you that tomorrow, once again, speaking of food, the Southeast Ohio Food Bank, that's the same folks doing this in Logan, they will do a mobile food distribution in Vinton County at the Vinton County Fairgrounds. That is tomorrow, the 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Once again, income guidelines are in effect here, and pre-registration is required. That's why we're telling you about it again a day ahead of time. You need to visit this website, freshtrack.com, and then you enter your Vinton County zip code, and you'll have all the information you need or your registration done so you can, get the food. Fresh Track, that's FRESHTRAK.com. All right, we want to also remind you that this weekend they'll be doing the musical at Vinton County High School. That's the Viking Players. That's the drama/music club that puts on the plays at Vinton County. A lot of students involved in this. They were able to pull off a live performance this year by having 4 performances over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with a limited attendance at each one. Tickets are available to the public for this, and you can get tickets in advance at the Clerk of Court's office at the Vinton County Courthouse. There will also be tickets at the door unless they have sold to capacity. But the times, Friday evening at 7 o'clock, Saturday at both 3 p.m. and 7 p.m., and then the final one, a Sunday matinee at 3 p.m. Once again, this is entitled The 20th Century Celebration, and it is a musical review of the greatest music of the 20th century. I can go back to the 60s, Jen. I don't know whether you can, but
Well,
but there was some great music in the first part of that century too, that if you're not a music buff, maybe you haven't heard some of those musics. But the kids will not only sing the songs, but they'll be in the costumes.
What a fun night.
It should be.
And
we'll show you a couple of the pictures of the costumes. Cool. They are they are, as you say, pretty cool.
Yeah.
We also want to remind you that the Vinton County Health Department will be doing a spring cleanup day this Saturday March the 27th. It will be at the Vinton County Fairgrounds from 9 a.m. to noon. The health department in Vinton County is doing this in conjunction with the Jackson Meigs Vinton Solid Waste Management District. You can take appliances, scrap metal, newspaper, corrugated cardboard, food and beverage cans, glass bottles, and jars. They will all be accepted. It won't cost you a dime. Small household items such as food containers, cans, bottles, jars must be bagged. However, no building material, no paint, no pressurized tanks unless they're cut in half. All appliances must be free of Freon. So that's the news, and I'm going to get out of the way because we have a special guest today.
That's right, we do. Thank you, Pete.
All right, and thank you.
All right. Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, please let Nia help you, 740-418-4135. All right, let's head on over to your weather forecast brought to you by The Telegram. And don't forget, they are having that spring subscription special right now, the triple S, if you will. And you can participate in that by calling 740-286-3023 to subscribe today. And the cool thing about this special is you get $10 off a 12-month print and digital subscription. And that is for Jackson and Vinton counties only. But you can subscribe through a few more days, March 31st. But you do have to do that by calling 740-286-3023. That gives you the Telegram, both print and digital edition, for $3.75 per month. You cannot beat that. All right, let's head to your weather. And today, great temperatures, but some rain in the forecast, about an 80% chance of rain today, with highs around 71 degrees. For tonight, windy with rain showers likely, lows around 51. And there is like a little bit of a wind advisory out there, so not sure how crazy that's going to get, but it's definitely out there for sure. Tomorrow on your Friday, partly cloudy with highs around 63, and that wind still a bit. For Friday night, mostly clear, lows of 42. But as you look on to Saturday, heck yeah, we got some sunshine in the forecast and highs around 74 degrees. So looking pretty darn good for this time of the year. All right, we have a special guest on the program today, and that is attorney Richard Clagg. And we are going to talk today, I believe, about something that everyone needs to do and no one wants to do or talk about, and that's estate planning, because no one wants to think about it. But Attorney Clagg, of course, it's very important. So welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you here and talk about a very, very important subject. And first off, tell everybody, I guess, a little bit about yourself and where your firm is located.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. Well, of course, our firm is Oths, Heiser, Miller, Waigand Clagg, which is quite a mouthful.
It is.
We are based in Wellston, Ohio, but we are a regional law firm, meaning we get out to multiple counties, multiple towns, really in most of southeastern Ohio. We've got a presence all the way along the Ohio River, along, Route 23, I-70, that part of the state. We've been somewhere, or we are somewhere in that area, and can help folks in any of those places.
Very good. And I know, as we had Attorney Waigand here not too long ago, and she was talking a lot about her kind of specialty. Is estate planning something that's kind of just your lane of stuff to do, or do you do general things as well?
Well, it is one of my primary focuses of
Sure.
practice. I'm fortunate that I can narrow what I do.
That's awesome.
With a firm the way that we have set up, I'm able to specialize in a few areas as opposed to trying to stretch myself too thin and cover too many different things. And if I'm not able to do something, there's someone in the office who can. Rebecca, Rusty, somebody's in there, Larry, and they can help with those things. My focus, of course, is on the estate planning. I also do a lot of probate work, which is the work that you typically do to implement the end of an estate plan. working in the probate court to handle someone's estate after they've passed away. But there are other things you can do in the probate court and in the probate process. I also handle a lot of real estate work. So, and oftentimes those two, the real estate work and the estate planning, kind of dovetail together. So.
Well, let's just talk for a minute, and this is my opinion, not yours, but the word probate becomes a dirty word when it comes to estates, because what we want is to not end up there for the most part, or end up there in the probate court. We want to be a little more prepared and organized before we get there, right?
Well, generally that is the case. Yes. Probate, has developed a reputation, and folks don't want to go to the probate court. They don't want to open an estate in the probate court. My experience is that you generally are going to spend some time there regardless.
Right.
And there are good reasons for handling things in the probate court. If there are going to be problems when a person passes away, dealing with their unfinished business, it's nice to be able to go somewhere where you can present your issues to a judge who's able to look at everything impartially and give you a decision that carries, a significant amount of weight behind it and can be enforced later. A lot of people, I think, are concerned about the probate process because of its history. But Ohio, over the years, has taken steps to make the probate process a little less painful. There are some things that are still in place that you have to worry about, but a lot of what's still in the scheme is there as a way to protect folks, really.
Very good. And I don't know, I guess I talk about this all the time, and you try to live your life being proactive and not reactive, right? And I think estate planning is 100% about being proactive and not reactive, and for so many different ways.
Yes,
and reasons.
Correct.
You certainly don't want to leave your loved ones with the hassle of dealing with all of your stuff to clean up, I guess. But so tell our viewers, why is estate planning important?
Well, I mean, estate planning, the thing about estate planning that people don't think about is that it's not just for what happens when you pass away.
Mm-hmm.
That is a part of it, and is often a large part, because that is the part of the plan that has to take place when the person who put it together isn't there. When you've passed away, you can't come back and say, well, I wanted this to happen. So
right.
You want to have a plan that's in place to deal with that future situation. But estate planning is not just about what happens when you pass away. It involves where you are today. I mean, you have an estate. I have an estate right now. It consists of the assets that I own, that you own, or that you have some control or interest in. Mm-hmm. And you have concerns about how those assets are handled, and and how your life will go, the things that you need to take care of, and to be able to take care of yourself and your family. And part of that involves making a plan right now. It's very easy to forget that part of it and just think, well, I just need to be able to wrap things up. But estate planning, it's a plan. It's in the name. And just like anything else, you have to put some effort behind it. You have to take some time, think about what you want to do, think about who you need to take care of, and think about what's going on for you right now, and where do you see yourself down the road.
And let's just be honest, people think of estate planning, I'll do that when I get older or whatever. But as you said, if you have children, or you have a business, or you have any assets, we can walk out and get hit by a truck tomorrow, no matter what age you are. And you need to have a plan for that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I talk to my clients about that.
But we don't want to talk about it, though, and you don't want to hear or think about it.
I know, and I hear that a lot from folks. They come in and they're nervous. They're uncomfortable. So I spend a lot of time trying to break that down And we talk about the I call it the falling piano scenario. But
Right.
but whatever it may be, it's very easy to think I'm going to put this off, until the future. I'm young. I'm fine. But if you've got a business, for example, and this is just one very narrow example. If you've got a business, you need to worry about, how is your business going to operate today, so that you have a tomorrow to worry about, so that you have a future to worry about. When you have kids, that changes your plan. Now I've got to think about, how do I take care of my kids right now? How do I feed and clothe them? And do I start planning for their education? Things like that. And of course, you want to leave a legacy. You want to be able to say, here's what I did with my life to take care of me and my family. Now I'm passing it on to you so you can take care of yours. But if you put things off too long and you just hope that nothing bad happens, then you can be subject to the falling piano scenario. And at that point, you see the results of not planning. And it's just like anything else. Anything you do, if you don't plan, then when something bad or something unexpected happens, then you're not prepared for it, and things can get pretty difficult.
Yes, to get punny, it's the old, failing to plan is planning to fail, and estate planning is the halo over top of that, for
That's
sure, because
absolutely correct.
you're really setting yourself up. Well, okay. How does one begin? How early do you start? How do you begin estate planning? Again, no one wants to think about it, but you need to. It's important.
Well, you could start estate planning at really just about any age. It's more difficult when you are younger, especially those first few adult years. You may not have much of an estate. If you're a college sophomore, for example, you probably don't have a lot of assets. It can be
Have a
contained
lot
in
of
your dorm
debts.
room and your bedroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have a lot of debts. Your student loan, your credit card debt
right.
from the folks on campus that are trying to convince you to sign up for something, easy money.
And that you spent all at Taco Bell and understood. Got
But
it.
at the same time, you can still start some things even at that age.
Sure.
And if you are fortunate enough to have been in a situation where your parents have been doing planning for you, maybe they've been able to set aside money, or maybe you've been able to set aside money. I've got a 13-year-old who has a savings account, and he is using that for certain goals that he has when he gets a little older. We obviously are helping him determine those goals, but at the same time, it's teaching him, even at that age, you've got to plan ahead. And he's had that account for several years. So, in a sense, he's had a plan since he was probably 8 or 9 years old.
That's amazing.
At least to some degree. But for most folks, it's going to be your early adult years is typically when you start, because that's typically when you start to develop assets that you need to worry about, and when you need to start setting goals, which is really the first step. Set your goals. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in the near future?
And that's so hard to do because you don't know a lot of times. And with estate planning, things change from minute to minute and year to year. Heck, we just lived through a global pandemic. No one expected that. So estate planning is ever changing, I would have to think, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it is fortunate. Just like any plan, especially if it's long term, it has to be flexible. And an estate plan is no different. Fortunately, most of the things that folks do in an estate plan can be modified over time. And, your goals are going to change over time. If I'm 21, 22 years old, I'm either just getting out of college and starting the career, which again, that is part of a plan. I planned, where do I want to work? What do I want to do going forward? Then you have some folks that, they find, either a trade, or they're able to get a job directly out of school. They're starting to set aside money, and they're starting to plan right away. Do I start saving money? Do I want to buy a house? Do I want to get married? Raise a family? Those decisions right off the bat are the beginning of your estate plan. And but when you hit your late 20s, early 30s, by that time you are probably a little more established in your life. then your goals are going to change. How do I grow what I have?
Right.
Do I need to invest? Do I need to, do I need to save? How do I protect things? What do I do if someone is ill? And by that time you probably have parents whose estate plans are nearing their completion. What do you do with that? So then by the time you get older, your kids start to grow or they become adults. Now you're looking at grandchildren. You're looking at retirement, and of course the real possibility that you could become ill yourself. You may need to start planning for nursing home care, long-term health care, things like that. What do you need to do in order to accomplish those goals?
And it seems to me that it takes an army to figure that out. And what I mean by that is you as an attorney, of course, can put the paperwork together and the guidance as far as the estate plan, but there will be a lot of other folks involved in that. I'm thinking accountants and financial advisors and other folks that you need to consult with as well to figure out how to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. An attorney's role in the estate planning process is actually pretty narrow, and it depends. It usually serves as the foundation for the plan because it addresses the legal issues,
right?
And it creates, you create the documents through your attorney to form the framework of that plan. But if you have been planning, then you probably already have some of these folks in place. You may not even realize you were actually putting together an estate plan. If you know that you're doing it, or if, maybe you're in the situation where you didn't plan yet, you can start that planning by starting to look for some of these folks. And not everybody has an accountant, not everybody has a financial advisor, but if you do, then you want to bring them in and let them talk to you about that aspect. An accountant, they're going to handle the tax questions. If you're a business person, you probably want to try to limit your tax, your tax burden if at all possible, so that you can devote more of your finances to growing your business, hiring new people, expanding the local economy, things like that. If you've got someone who can help you with your banking, they can talk to you about, they can set up accounts that you need to do things you need to do. Financial advisor, someone who can help with your investments if you have any, and that's especially important for not just during your lifetime, but that long-term planning of what happens if I need to go into a nursing home. The care is expensive, and if you have a financial advisor that can help you set money aside, it can be there for that, so that your family is not burdened by something down the road. So.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We're
really firing stuff at you all this morning, aren't we? But yeah, and that's why this is why people don't do anything.
Yeah.
Because of the things that we're talking about today. But it's so important that you start this process, I think.
Absolutely. And I mean, you don't have to have everyone that's in here. You may not have the financial resources or the assets that would merit everything that I've mentioned. But if you do have that, you want to have those folks available. And if you're thinking about bringing someone in, you need to kind of know who to talk to. But don't avoid estate planning just because you don't have an accountant.
Right, for sure. And okay, so I would have to think, what are the things involved? Obviously, maybe a living will or wills would be involved. I mean, things that you would do to help people with estate planning.
I mean, probably the two most foundational things that we do with respect to a legal side of estate planning would be preparing wills and trusts.
Okay.
A will, of course, is basically an outline of what you want to have happen to your assets when you pass away. You can appoint the person who's going to handle things for you. You can express your last wishes in that document, and it gives the probate court a roadmap of what to expect, and it makes that probate process significantly easier and smoother if you have a will in place. And a will is a fairly simple document to prepare. It can be complicated, but it's as complicated as you need it to be. A trust, on the other hand, there are myriad types of trusts.
We could spend like 24 hours talking about trusts.
Sure. But the trust that we primarily deal with would be what we call a revocable inter vivos trust. That's the technical legal term. Basically, it is a trust that you create and that you fund with assets you currently own, but you also remain in control of those assets as the trustee.
Okay.
It allows you to keep living the way you're living. It provides some protections that you may not have just as an individual, creditor issues, other potential legal issues if you were ever exposed to any kind of financial problems or anything like that. But it also allows you to be a lot more detailed with respect to last wishes, and you can reach further back in time than you might with a will. I mean, in a will, it goes to the probate court, and there are time limits on how long that estate should remain open. There are exceptions, but generally you've got only a certain amount of time to work with. With a trust, you can create a trust that will reach far into the future and allow you to provide for more than one generation in your own family. But you can modify it as needed as your goals change.
Yeah, just because it's your trust and you pass away doesn't mean that it can't continue on.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is absolutely right. Now, like I say, there are other types of trust. Another one that we tend to use a lot in an area like this would be some type of a Medicaid qualifying trust. I know we haven't talked about Medicaid, and I don't want to dive into that because, again, it's another
whole other 24-hour topic.
But it is a concern in this area. We have a lot of folks that there are a lot of folks that have, substantial assets in this area, and they are able to provide for themselves and their family comfortably and set up an estate plan that can do quite a bit for them, for the community as well. But there are also a lot of folks who don't, and for whatever reason, whether it's bad luck or just decisions that didn't go your way, you find that you're in a situation where you can't care for yourself financially. The state's willing to step in, but there are conditions. And sometimes if you have accumulated assets and then find that it's not enough, you may need the state to step in, but what do you do with those assets? And some of what you have to meet state goals and qualifications, but some of what you can do, you may be able to use certain qualifying trusts with Medicaid that will allow you to retain some assets without running afoul of Medicaid rules.
And so there's no plug and play for estate planning is what it's sounding like to me. Each individual is different. Each couple is different. Each family is different. That's where you come in.
Absolutely. There, certain things are going to be fairly routine. When I prepare a will, there are certain things that are almost always going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also a lot of things that I can't put in until I know what the client's goals are, I know what their situation is. And so we try to tailor the estate plans that we do to the individuals as much as we can. I mean, there are people out there that do cookie cutter stuff. Mm-hmm. But then what ends up happening is they come to me because there's a problem, and we have to untangle what's been done, and that it's additional cost to a person that didn't need it.
Going back to being proactive and not reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, of course, wills and trusts, you'd mentioned documents, things that we do. Mm-hmm. Wills and trusts, of course, are typically the end-of-life stuff, although a trust can be more than that. But we also do a lot of power of attorney work. You mentioned living wills. Mm-hmm. I don't prepare a lot of living wills, but we do them on occasion for clients that want them.
Let's explain what that is for a moment.
Well, I mean, I tell folks, in general, I think of a living will like a permission slip. Mm-hmm. And it's basically limited to end-of-life decisions when you are in a position where you're not capable of making a decision because you are, incapacitated, and it's going to be permanent, whether it is from an illness or from some type of accident or problem.
Listen, we've seen a lot of that with COVID. Folks just fine, and then 2 days later they're on a ventilator, and somebody's having to make that decision for them.
Exactly. Now, what a living will does, a living will puts that in the hands of the physician who is caring for the individual. There are a number of hurdles that they have to jump. They're not just reaching for a plug or a switch, but they do have the authority based on that living will to make that decision. They are to notify family members. and you designate that in the living will. Another thing that a living will does that is very useful is it does provide for a lot of organ donation options. You can incorporate that into your living will ahead of time. But the problem that I have with living wills is that it does limit all of this to end-of-life situations only, and it puts that decision in the hands of a physician. A lot of times family members, a person wants to put that decision in the hands of someone they know and trust. So what we will do in the alternative is prepare a healthcare power of attorney. It covers end-of-life decisions as well.
Gotcha.
But it also addresses other medical situations that you may need someone to step in and make a decision for you when you can't. But not in a position where you are going to pass away as a result of the decision. Let's say that you've been knocked unconscious in a car accident. You may need someone to check you into a hospital,
right?
Or authorize an operation or a procedure. Well, that healthcare power of attorney identifies someone to make that call for you. They can't do anything until you can't. But if you can't make a decision, if you can't consent to a treatment or withdraw that consent, they have the ability to step in and take care of those issues. And they also can make the end-of-life decisions at the same time. But it's the hands of someone that you know and trust.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. Now, what about just a regular power of attorney? I know those can get pretty specific as well.
They can.
Yeah.
Ohio has a durable financial power of attorney. Of course, most states have something of that nature. And it handles not the healthcare decisions, but it handles the financial stuff. Can someone go to the bank for you? Can someone deal with an insurance problem for you? And especially if you're a business owner, can someone manage your business if you're not capable of doing it for a period of time? Now, again, you put someone in charge that you trust. That person has a fiduciary obligation to manage what you've given them. You're trusting them to take care of your situations.
Sure.
And they are obligated to act in your best interest. Ohio created a scheme for powers of attorney a few years ago that categorized all the financial situations that they could come up with that might occur. Then basically, under Ohio law, you're able to simply pick and choose which categories you want to authorize your agent to work in,
yes.
And then they can move forward. You can set up a financial power of attorney for your agent to act whenever you need them to, or you can set it up for only when you are incapable of acting on your own. Again, that's one of those decisions that's tailored to the individual. A lot of times husbands and wives, they'll authorize each other to act anytime.
As long as you trust your husband or wife.
As long as you trust your husband or wife, that's true.
That's scary.
Well,
that's a whole other 24-hour topic, right?
24-hour topic, and then you have to bring in the domestic relations attorney.
Yes. No, all kidding aside, no, it is very, very important. And again, you're never too young to start all of this.
Or too old.
Or too old. Absolutely. And all right, so say as we have about 5 minutes left here on the program, say somebody is listening today and they're saying, I like this Richard Clagg guy. He is awesome. And I really, really have put off this estate planning thing. What do folks need to do to get an appointment with you? That initial appointment, what should they do to be prepared? What can they expect? And that kind of stuff.
Sure. Getting the appointment is easy. You can simply call the office phone number 740-384-2111, and they can set you up with an appointment to talk to me anytime.
Yep.
You can also contact the office via email or through our website. There's a place on there that you can go to request an appointment, and then someone will contact you to schedule. When you come in for that initial appointment, what I typically do, I usually take about an hour and a half or so just to talk to folks. And the things that I do is kind of walk them through what we've been talking about here.
Sure.
I ask them to tell me a little bit about their goals. What kind of things do they want to do? What do they want to see happen? That's usually the part that they don't think about.
Well, and it's hard.
If you were going to prepare for an estate planning discussion with me, that's probably the one thing that you should try to do ahead of time. But I mean, if you haven't thought about it when you come in, we'll talk a little bit, and then you can talk about and think about your goals as we are preparing to do things for you. I will usually spend some time talking to folks about basically the types of assets that they hold. I don't spend a lot of time asking about the numbers. I don't always think it's my business to know how much money someone has.
Well, it's relative. It's important and not important,
exactly.
I guess.
I mean, some people are very private about it. And while certainly I keep confidentiality with my clients if they are going to tell me, I don't want them to feel like they have to know every dollar and cent they have when they come in, or feel like we're going to quiz them and try to take advantage of the the money that they have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to charge you differently just because you do or don't have money.
Oh.
So
that's
so that's one of the
I'm glad
reasons
you said that.
why I don't ask that question too much. I will ask enough to see how it affects the planning process. We also ask a little bit about the debt information. Who do you owe money to? What types of debts do you have? Because addressing your debt is often a part of the estate plan. There is good debt, there's bad debt. There are reasons to go into debt. There are reasons not to go into debt. And you want to account for that in your plan because when you do pass away, part of the estate process is dealing with the debt you left behind. So if we have a handle on that now, we can talk about that and incorporate that into your goals. And I may not handle a lot of the the work on dealing with the debt, but that's where some of your other folks can come in. Your financial advisors, your bankers can come in and talk about even your accountant if the debt is tax based.
Right, and again, depending on how complicated your life is, or business is, or whatever. Again, this isn't cookie cutter, but that's where you come in. I look at you as the concierge of estate planning.
Sure.
Like, you are kind of taking this, and this, and putting it all together and creating one big vacation or plan.
And if I can do that for folks, then I'm that I've accomplished my goals.
Right.
I want to make the process as demystifying as possible, make folks feel comfortable. Estate planning, there's a discomfort level to it. You address at the beginning of all
it
this.
Is. No one wants to think about
you
it.
don't want to think about it because you always think about it as dealing with death.
Because that's your death.
Yeah, and that is a part of it and a large part, but it's it's not all of it. And especially of what I do, my part is probably more the death planning than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bring other folks onto your team, then they're going to deal with and point out the fact that hey, there's a lot of life to your estate plan too, and that should make you want to talk about it.
Well, let's just I did want to ask you one question. So does that require you as the attorney and some of the other folks, whether it be an accountant or whatever, to talk as well, or is it are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And we do that. Obviously there are confidentiality issues that I have to worry about. There may be things I can't always tell other people in the estate planning team. But no, the idea is, and we talk to the clients about this as well. Allow us to be open with one another and authorize us to talk to one another. And oftentimes the clients will come to us and ask us to do that.
Yeah.
Without any prompting, they'll say, "Hey, would you talk to this person, for me? Would you talk to that person?" So
takes out the middleman.
Yeah. And then sometimes we get recommendations from folks that someone who might be an accountant or a financial advisor will send someone to us to handle the legal side of the planning. So
makes sense.
We're already in that communications process, and we talk as much as the client needs us to accomplish their goals.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, because at the end of the day, it's all about the client and doing what's best by them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Well, it looks like we're out of time. Boy, this has been fun. I mean, it's not a fun subject, but it's been fun talking with you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to have been here. It's been very enjoyable, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to tell folks a little bit about estate planning and try to, make the process a little more palatable and important.
Yeah, and please contact Attorney Clagg here if you have any questions, or if you're interested in getting started. He can certainly guide you down the right path, and I think that's fantastic. So thank you so much for being here today. Come back and see us anytime.
I will do that. Again, thanks for having me, and hello Jackson County. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning.
Absolutely. All right, Attorney Richard Clagg, and of course, Oths. Let's see, Oths, Heiser, Miller, Waigand, and Clagg. I'll get that eventually.
We just use the letters.
Yeah, right. I'm just sorry you have to still deal with Larry. I'm just saying.
Larry, I'll tell you, Larry's actually the reason I'm here. And if it weren't for Larry, it's hard telling where I'd be. So I appreciate that he took the time to pull me aside one day and let me know that there was a job here in Wellston. I'm a Jackson County lifer. Yeah. And so it was good to come home and be able to practice here.
Oh, Larry. If you don't know Larry Heiser, you need to. He's a hoot.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate it. Like I said, come back anytime.
I will. Thank you very much.
Let's thank some of our friends before we get out of here for the day that make this show possible. Did want to thank Carman the Carman, Mark Carman, and all the gang out at Carman's Used Cars and Trucks, and they are amazing. If you need a vehicle or have something in mind that you're looking for, give them a ring at 286-0715 or visit their website at carmansusedcars.com, and they will be very happy to help you out. Also, wanted to thank our friends at the filling station, the store at Broadway and Penn and Wellston, and of course the newly remodeled Quick Stop right here in Jackson, home of the crispy, crunchy chicken. And if you are looking for something yummy for lunch or dinner, you could try out that crispy, crunchy chicken right here on Broadway Street. Yeah, is it a gas station? Yeah. Is it the best chicken around? Yeah, it's pretty good. So stop in and see it, and all of the side dishes, and taste it, and it's so good. So check it out. All right, James, thank you.
You're welcome.
He pushed all the right buttons and everything, and he is a very talented dude. So we appreciate him allowing us to be here every day. All right, have a great day, everyone. We will be back here tomorrow on Friday, and God knows what we're going to get into. But enjoy some great temperatures today, and we'll be right back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching.